This episode of Prem Brulee is sponsored by The Vintage Wave, an online boutique sports apparel store with throwbacks and unique one-of-a-kind vintage goods. From new Mitchell and Ness looks to classic Nike and Adidas looks, The Vintage Wave has everything a sports or fashion fan could need. Visit them online at thevintagewave.com.
You're listening to a Holyfield podcast.
All right, listeners, welcome back to the number one podcast in your headphones. Back at it again. I am your host, Premal of Holyfield, and this time I am joined by someone new. A fellow Holyfield contributor, Grant Evan, is with me today. Welcome, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I'm excited to have you. I'm hoping you're coming with the toasty takes.
Just the toastiest.
Toastiest. I love that. So by now everybody knows we're leading off with the FM or not, and I figured I'd stick with the theme. I've been thinking up, headlines for each week of the NFL season, and that's how I'm going to lead it off this time again. So week 4 of the NFL, I put as the theme plenty of offense. So I noticed that the lowest winning score of the week was 20 points by Seattle. And of those, the Bears had quite the standout game. Mitchell Trubisky threw for a franchise record 6 touchdowns, 5 of which were in the first half. Apparently, Fitzmagic ran out. There were 3 overtime games, and 2 of those had very interesting finishes due to teams not apparently wanting to play for ties. We'll talk about it a little, but I wanted to get your take on all this. Of course, those 2 overtime games worth mentioning. The Colts coach went for 4th down, and I think it was 5 at their own 43-yard line. And Andrew Luck failed a conversion on a comeback pass, leaving the Texans with the ball in plus territory. They went down one play and were in field goal range and won the game in overtime. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, Mike Vrabel and the Titans were quite ballsy and converted multiple 4th downs en route to a touchdown and game-sealing win in overtime against the Eagles, who were up by a field goal in overtime, but then lost sudden death because the Titans didn't want to end in a tie, and it paid off for them. So anyway, all that, want to get your yeah, fam, or not of this week in the NFL.
Yeah, I think with the overtimes, I'm going to give kind of a yeah, nah. It's kind of a weird scenario because I think after weeks 1 and 2, when you see like Cleveland and Pittsburgh like failing to win, and then Green Bay and Minnesota kind of dancing the same dance with special guest appearance, no kickers. It's like you can tell that not just teams, but like fans are getting kind of annoyed by it too, you know? And I think there is this inclination to want to go for the win, so you're not in that confusing standing scenario, but also because you don't want people to like check out or like not tune in. And I think overtime might go through another overhaul maybe this off season, because it looks like with all the changes the NFL has made to how you can and can't hit the quarterback, offenses are going to get more and more ballsy and daring and doing weird stuff because now the quarterback is almost invincible. And on the same side of that, you're going to have teams who don't want to play to get ties, which runs the risk of more injuries. So it's like you solve one problem and create 11 more. It's weird.
Yeah, and I never thought it's all of that, and combined with the 5 less minutes in overtime seems to be making a huge difference, I feel like.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm a yeah fam to this week. I think it kind of went back to even after a weird week 3 with teams that don't normally win. So it felt kind of weird to know, but week 4 kind of returned back to normal here. And overall, I think I like teams not wanting to tie, but the Colts decision was just ridiculous. I don't know what to make of that. There's a point where you're ballsy, but that's just stupid.
Yeah, the Colts don't have a rich history of making awesome decisions on 4th down.
Oh, no, they don't.
I remember that ridiculous formation they tried to pull on prime time against the Patriots. and it's
The
just the
fake punt
kicker looking
formation.
there like,
Incredible. I forgot about that one.
it's a rich history of weird plays by Indy on fourth down.
Poor Indianapolis.
But it makes me kind of excited for Mariota to actually have a good game. But yeah.
Yeah, he played very well, and Corey Davis got his first touchdown in quite the moment in a
Mm-hmm.
game-winning touchdown in overtime, so good for him. I thought he was doomed for a shitty season after he had a rough offseason.
Oh yeah, I think we all did.
All right, well, let's stay in the NFL. Of course, by now we kind of all saw the situation with Earl Thomas. So we know that he had a fractured lower leg, obviously done for the season, was carted off, and we all saw the clip of him flipping the bird to his own sideline, obviously having to do with his contract situation. He wanted to be signed long term. The Seahawks didn't work that out. Then he wanted to be traded. The Seahawks wouldn't trade him. And I wanted to get a yeah, fam or not to Earl Thomas's current situation helping validate what Le'Veon Bell is doing. So Earl Thomas, what happened to him validates what Le'Veon Bell is doing and sitting out. And just a few quotes to back this up or get you thinking here, Grant.
Mm-hmm.
So Bobby Wagner after the game said, quote, if he doesn't come, then he's not a team player. If he does come and gets hurt, then it's he shouldn't have come. If I was him, I'd be pissed off. And there was an Instagram post basically showing Bobby Wagner's quote. Le'Veon Bell commented by saying, quote, SMH, exactly. I'll continue to be the bad guy for all of us, end quote. So, yeah, fam or not, Earl Thomas's current situation, now being hurt in a contract year heading into free agency as an injured player, validates what Le'Veon Bell is doing and sitting out and not signing his franchise tag with the Steelers.
I'm a big yeah fam on this one because I am liking this whole narrative of the players taking back control from the owners. They're the ones putting their bones, their muscles, their brains on the line week in and week out. And I mean, Le'Veon Bell legit just went all Nostradamus, saying like, I am legitimately avoiding being injured until you pay me. And then Earl Thomas goes and gets hurt. I'm all about him flipping the bird to the sidelines. And the oft not discussed thing that I've seen, I keep watching that video over and over, and he's just flipping the sidelines off, and members of the Cardinals are like rushing up to him and patting him like, it's okay, man. Like almost celebrating that he's just sticking it to him. And I mean, it's a big thing for all the players. If Bell and Thomas can hold out like that, I mean, I hope the injury doesn't affect his free agency standing too much, because I think he's still one of the best secondary players in the league. But Bell holding out, so I remember a few years ago he was saying, I'm going to hold out for all the running backs out there to increase our value, and then that happens. And then, now he's holding out so any free agent can have their value go up. And, like, as a NFL player, you see people in, like, the NBA make $200 million, and you're sitting here with, like, a legit possibility of a life-ending concussion every week, and you're getting, like, a fraction of that. Why not hold out? Why not force the owners to do something more than what they've been doing?
100%. I'm with you all the way. I'm a yeah fam to validating what Le'Veon Bell's doing. Unfortunately for Earl Thomas, he tried to show up, tried to do the right thing for fans, and it didn't pay off for him, and that just sucks for him. Like you said, I hope it doesn't cost him in free agency. I don't think it will. I mean, it might here and there, but overall, I would hope that he still gets a deal that values his worth as one of the best safeties in the league still. And yeah, Le'Veon Bell is fighting the good fight for a lot of players. It is making a statement, and a lot of what's making a statement is the Steelers have not been doing well without him. So that makes more of the statement than anything else. Same with Earl Thomas. He was on the field, displayed his worth. In the Cowboys game, he had 2 picks. He was playing well so far despite, choosing when not to practice, not showing up for a while. They have every right to do that, and I think they should do whatever they can to get their power back.
Yeah, totally. And, watching the Steelers run for, 19 yards against Baltimore, who have,
Rough.
a kind of a banged up defense as it is, my goodness, if anytime Bell needed to use the big eyeball emoji after
Yeah.
a game, it's
Roll 'em. Okay, big news out of Carolina. Eric Reid, free agent, and some would say controversial. I don't think either one of us are saying that. But
No.
Eric Reid was, as we all remember, the other person with Colin Kaepernick that first kneeled during the national anthem. So Eric Reid previously was unsigned as a free agent. The Panthers did sign him to a one-year deal that's worth up to $2 million in incentives. So, yeah, fam or not, Eric Reid signing with the Panthers means Colin Kaepernick has a chance at returning. Yeah, fam or not?
I'm going nah, but not because of anything with the movement or what Cap is doing. I think a lot of it has to do with Cap being the bigger face, the bigger PR hit that's scary for owners. And the position he plays, you're out of the league for 2 years. It's kind of rough to bounce back when you're that high profile. That being said, I would really like it if a team who, I don't know, just lost their 6-year, $150 million contract quarterback after only having him for 3 weeks and had option B as CJ Beathard, maybe needing a veteran quarterback, would like to say sorry to a certain person they cut and bring him back.
Do the
That'd
right
be
thing,
cool.
San Francisco.
That's what I'm saying, because it's tough right now, because I think every team has at least someone they're grooming to be a franchise guy, if not their franchise guy. A lot of rookies playing, a lot of kids under 23, a lot more people playing past 27. League's looking pretty set unless you're like Eli Manning or the Niners, who have, their guy. He's just hurt right now. So, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to get Cap in the San Francisco locker room again.
Yeah, so I'm across the board agreeing with you in all these. I want this so bad to be a yeah fan, but I just think, like you said, he's the face of this, and you have a bunch of old conservative owners who don't want to take a chance on him. Even though I'll maintain that there are about, even if we're being conservative, 64 quarterback jobs in the league. You cannot even begin to tell me that there's 64 better quarterbacks than Colin Kaepernick on this planet. So, if it was by football skill, he absolutely deserves to be on a team, and that is what it should be about. But I think that, combined with his collusion case that's ongoing, is probably going to mean he might not ever play again. I think a lot of people feel that way. In the meantime, I think it's a huge step that the Panthers took in signing Eric Reid, who, by the way, is very young, in his prime, coming off some stellar seasons, so not too shabby of a get by them from a football standpoint. And a good statement by them to just focus on football and leave the player's personal choices his own.
Yeah, the asterisk I would put on the Reed signing is he had come out recently saying not sure if he'll kneel or not, but at the same time I don't know if the NFL's anthem rules will allow him to because of the whole locker room situation. But yeah, exactly what you're saying. There's no way that teams are comfortable with their backup situation. Everyone's got their starter at least, but there's at least half the teams in the league who could use a good veteran backup. I'll speak as a Packers fan here. I watched week 1 DeShone Kizer come in against Chicago and immediately throw a pick, and I'm like, boy, sure wish that wasn't DeShone Kizer out there.
Yeah, exactly. Cowboys backup's Cooper Rush. Exactly. You don't even know who that is. Nobody knows, man. All right. Well, on that note, let's move on to our like you know, like you hate it. And Grant, I'm usually a positive guy, but in the sports world, I'm very negative. So we go from positive to negative. The negative's always the grand finale. So lead us off with your likies of the sports week.
You got it. So, my likey, I'll speak as a Packers fan again. After watching my defense be the equivalent of a roll of paper towels that just landed on a wet floor, it was really cool to see the defense actually show up against the Bills after they just got off a huge upset against the Vikings, hold them to 0 points, picked off Josh Allen twice, forced a fumble. Clay Matthews didn't get roughing the passer.
Wow.
Pretty great day from the defense. Our rookie quarterback, Jerry Alexander, got another pick. Clinton Dix is on 3 for the year, which is pretty great for him. So I'm really into that performance for the Packers defense, which I haven't been able to say in what feels like 2 years.
I dig it, man. But you have a no likey that chant comes right off of that one, huh?
Yeah, I do. So also something I feel like I haven't said in a while is I feel like the Packers offense is a little stalled right now. And that could be for a slew of reasons. I feel like they're playing very conservatively because, Rodgers has that knee brace on. Our wide receiver 1 is Devontae Adams still, but after him there's like a huge cliff, and then it's like Randall Cobb and Geronimo Allison hanging out, and then a whole bunch of who's and Jimmy Graham. And we're not the best at utilizing pass-catching tight ends as it is. And also, I feel like for having a banged-up quarterback, we're not using the run game enough. We used Aaron Jones a lot more, the Packers did, but him only having 12 carries when I'm watching people like feed Zeke or Tyreek Hill just tonight going for like 20 carries, or even the Steelers insisting on using James Conner in a failing effort. I'm like, really? We have this guy who's acting like a bus and can plow through that defense, and yet just not using the run game like we should, and leaning a little too much on Rodgers still being Rodgers despite just recovering from a collarbone and having that banged up knee. And then we're playing really conservatively, which makes us really predictable. So it's weird. It's weird to see a week where the defense does exceptionally well and the offense is really slow to get going.
I hear you, man. All right, so I got a couple likies here. Ohio State completing an improbable comeback in State College, down 12 late in the game to win 27-26. Let's fucking go, Buckeyes.
I felt like I could hear you cheer from here.
They had no business winning that game, and they somehow did. And I love every second of it. It was huge. It's going to be huge. Going to have big playoff implications, so hopefully the Buckeyes can just keep riding it steady till the big game to end the season. And my other likey is, of course, surprise, with the Dallas Cowboys. They pulled off a close win. They finally gave Zeke nearly 30 touches. They should do that every game. And a bonus plus is making all of Golden Tate's obnoxious-ass taunting touchdowns all in a losing effort. Him slowing down, staring at defenders, doing obnoxious celebrations that nobody likes, all in a losing effort. It's just like Odell Beckham's one fancy catch everybody forgets. It was in a losing effort to the Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that likey kind of leads, me, I'm always a pessimist about my team. It seems like every time the Cowboys offense scores on a drive, the very next drive their defense gives up a score back. It's almost as if they don't like rest from a long drive from the offense. They go up there lethargic and give up, just undo everything the offense just did quickly. So no likey to that little trend they had going. I think obviously the Cowboys scored to end the game, but before that, I think their previous 2 scores were followed up by giving up scores, by their defense giving up scores to the Lions.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Cowboys, when they decided to focus on re-signing their offensive line and let all those star defenders walk a few years back, I think they're now feeling the residual effects of that.
But I will say that their young guys are playing really well. Leighton Vander Esch started for the first time with Sean Lee. Surprise, having another hamstring injury. But he was flying around the ball. He was as good as advertised. I think he led the team in tackles last week, even though he didn't start. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's up there this past week, too.
That kid's good.
What about your hate it, man?
I hate it. In a week where I don't have much reason to complain about it, I'm still going to go with the new roughing the passer rules. And it has a lot to do with how the NFL handled it. So the first 3 weeks, you have just a bushel of controversial calls to the point where they have to make a PowerPoint presentation to show people what is and what isn't. Then they come out and say, well, this week we'll call less roughing the passer things, which is all well and good, but to what extent? I mentioned earlier that Matthews actually landed a sack without getting a roughing the passer penalty, but the irony of that is after it happened, Josh Allen kind of hurt his hand. So the one time he does a legal hit, Josh Allen's still hurt. On the flip side of that, you have still a bunch of ridiculous penalties getting called against the Browns, especially in their losing effort to the Raiders. So it feels like each year we have some new bizarre thing where we have to reevaluate, well, what is it? We didn't know what a catch was for a long time, and then we quote-unquote figured it out.
By the way, Des caught it, guys.
Cool. Des caught it with 5 minutes left, but still.
Whatever, Grant.
This will be... We are fairly decent friends, you and I, but I feel like that playoff game will forever be our friendship bugaboo, and it's going to keep coming up.
I just watched a Football Life, Tony Romo's one, and it's still... I mean, he was just talking about how that is the throw of his career. It's a fucking catch, would be now, and it's just unfortunate, man. Just ripped away. It's good of a shot that I've had. Fuck Gene Steratore, by the way. Glad he's retired.
I feel you. Deep in my soul, I know Des caught that ball. Deeper in my soul, I know you give Aaron Rodgers in 2014 5 whole minutes with the ball after that play, and you still lose.
That's neither here nor there, Grant. That's not what this is about.
You're right. What this is about is roughing the passer and how the new rules are ludicrous, and I think we need to just go back, reevaluate, maybe accept that quarterbacks are
Can take a hit.
Exactly. Not all of them have glass collarbones like Aaron Rodgers or glass ACLs like half the other quarterbacks, but
it's just part of the game, man. I just don't get it. I mean, you know it's rough, you know it's not. A tackle's a tackle. Football's a violent game, and they all know that. So I agree with you. And you had a segue right into my hate it, which is the refs in the Browns and Raiders game. So they had plenty of missed calls. I know they blew a Marshawn Lynch run dead when he wasn't even close to tackled and literally broke free a second later and would have ran for probably about a 50, 60-yard touchdown. But they overturned a spot of a ball that was not conclusive at all. And that led to the Browns having to punt the ball to the Raiders, who then, in that ensuing drive, scored a touchdown and 2-point conversion to force the game to overtime. And then the Raiders won in overtime, 45-42. And then they also blew a play dead in which Myles Garrett forced a Derek Carr fumble. So I just don't know what the league is doing. They claimed in that ball reversal that they had a different angle that we couldn't see on TV. Well, then fucking show us. I don't understand. Yeah. Show us the angles you saw that we all didn't, because one thing they have remained consistent on is when you overturn a call, it has to be conclusive. And that spot was not at all conclusive. I was over here thinking they never reverse spot of the ball challenges, and this is the one they do to decide a game. It looked like plenty to get across the line. I think it was a Carlos Hyde run, and they overturn it, and it directly leads to a Raiders win. It's just the Browns don't need any more help losing. Why are you doing that to them? I just don't get it. I don't get the inconsistencies of referees and how it can be so different from week to week, and why there's always an issue. Just referee the game. It's not that hard. Don't make us have headlines about you. That it should not be your goal to be the center of attention. And these referees consistently shit the bed. I don't get it. And the Browns got screwed out of a victory. They got screwed out of a winning streak. Yeah. Which is crazy to think about.
I've long since held the theory the NFL should just finally bite the bullet, convert to full-time refs whose job it is to, just know the game inside and out. And they could even incorporate a system that the NHL uses, where if the ref isn't totally certain, they can send the play or the whatever happened out to New York, and they can get one more look at it. You've got those announcers have a rules expert on hand all the time, and it's so frustrating when you hear a rules expert say, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't overturn this. This is an easy one." Then the ref comes out and says, "Oh yeah, well we're overturning it." So.
Oh, and then they release a report like, "Oh, we shouldn't have done it," but what good does that
Yeah.
do anyone?
Yeah, but it's frustrating, especially when it's 2 weeks after the fact and you had a game-winning hit that would have led to a game-winning pick. But, that's just an example.
Yeah, man. All right, Lottie frickin' Da time, where we highlight the best of the worst, the impressively unimpressive performances by players on losing efforts, or just big-time hyped-up things that didn't live up to it. And that has to go to, first and foremost, the USA Ryder Cup team, who was up 3-1 after the first set of group plays on Thursday, and then proceeded to shit the bed, losing 17.5 to 10.5. Keep in mind, you only need 14.5 to win, but they lost that badly. And some players we know and love, Tiger went 0-4 in his matches, and Phil just played 2 and lost both of them. And worth noting, the USA has not won the Ryder Cup on foreign soil in 25 years. That is incredibly bad.
Man, I don't know what it is about USA golfers traveling around, but
They say European golf is different, but, I mean, you guys are rich golfers. Go play a few events in Europe.
yeah, go to Europe.
I don't know what to tell you.
It's so easy.
Do it for your country, guys. Okay, and I have to cover this one before I give you the last one. Let's fucking go, Buckeyes. This one is the best, Lottie frickin' da. The one I've enjoyed the most. Trace McSorley, Lottie frickin' da. You had an incredible game. Passing for 286 yards, 2 touchdowns on 16 to 32. In addition to that, had 25 carries as a quarterback for 175 yards rushing. But your coach called a run-pass option on 4th and 5 with the game on the line, in which you chose to hand the ball off to your running back, who ran right into Chase Young, an open defensive lineman who went unblocked on a stunt, ending the game in a loss 27 to 26. Lottie frickin' da Trace McSorley.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks, amen. All right, man, you cover the last one of the week.
Sure. My man Andrew Luck, bless his heart, went 40 for 62, which is an absurd amount of times to throw the ball, let alone complete the ball, for 464 yards and 4 touchdowns. Was playing lights out, but the Texans were able to catch up and send it into overtime, and the Colts ended up losing in overtime, 27 to 24, after a stupid 4th down conversion attempt was attempted from their own 43-yard line, because as we've already said, there is some evil spirit haunting the Colts in 4th down play scenarios, and Indianapolis ends up losing that game that they really easily should have had in the bag, but such is life when you're a
Lottie
Colts fan.
frickin' da, Colts.
Lottie.
Okay, next up is Should They Be Worried? Our version of a Panic Don't Panic. And I wanted to cover the Clemson quarterback situation first, and I thought this was the appropriate section to put them in.
Yeah.
So Clemson named Trevor Lawrence the starter after Kelly Bryant previously was. I think he had a 16-2 record. Bryant has since announced that he plans to transfer and is no longer with the team. But then the nightmare scenario happened. Bryant's no longer on the team, and then Lawrence, in their game against Syracuse, got taken out of the game with a concussion. I think it was around the 3rd quarter. And so they had to put in a redshirt freshman, I believe, as backup. Should they be worried, Clemson, with their quarterback situation? Did Dabo Swinney handle it wrong? Should he have done everything he could to keep Kelly Bryant? Could they have kept him? But are they in trouble moving forward? I mean, we don't know Lawrence's status for concussion protocol, but he's a play away from being out of a game, as they just saw. Worth noting, they narrowly escaped with the victory after that backup quarterback led a comeback drive at the end. They won 27-23, but should they be worried, Clemson?
I think it has a lot to do with if Lawrence ends up seriously hurt, but also now that you know that that's the reality staring you in the face, you really have to wonder if you really did bungle that Kelly Bryant situation. On one hand, I get Trevor Lawrence getting the start because, he's a young guy. Eye test, you can kind of tell he's looking like he's going to be the better quarterback over Kelly Bryant. It was really only a matter of time. But at the same time, you were kind of running this two-quarterback system, letting them test the waters, and now Bryant's going to an entirely different state. And, your main guy, who is supposed to lead Clemson to the promised land and be the future, is, he's concussed, possibly out for another week or longer. And if he's not concussed, you have that nagging voice in the back of your head. Well, what if he gets hit again? And how much magic can that redshirt freshman have? He's not going to have to do a game-winning drive all the time. He might have to play the whole game at some point, and he's got some chinks in the armor he got to work out.
Yeah, I definitely would be worried if I was Clemson. I didn't like the way they handled it in the first place. I didn't think Kelly Bryant had done anything to lose his job. I mean, his record speaks for itself. His losses were pretty much, one was an upset, which was the Syracuse game last year at Syracuse, and the other was in the college football playoff. So I hate that that's how it happened, but it does make me... Nice side note is I love that the NCAA changed that rule where if you play 4 games or less, you're still eligible for a red shirt, so that way Bryant doesn't lose a year of eligibility. But obviously that's not the focus of our question here. I would be worried if I was Clemson. It all sounds nice when you have the quarterback you want, but what happens if something goes wrong? And they found a way to escape the game, but if Lawrence isn't playing, they're pretty much in trouble. They went from 2 great quarterbacks to having none of those guys on the field if he stays in concussion protocol or, God forbid, gets hurt again. So I would be worried. Definitely would be. Now, they still have a few more years of Lawrence, so at least in that sense, he's still going to be there in their program if something did happen to him this year.
Yeah.
Okay. The other one I wanted to do is kind of like a take your pick. I wanted to go through each of the current division leaders a quarter of the way through the season, now that we're through that first little fourth of the season. And I wanted to get your quick rapid-fire take. Should they be worried or should they not be? So I'll go division by division. You tell me worried or not worried. Okay, yeah. AFC East, the Dolphins are 3-1. Worried or not worried?
Absolutely worried. They just got their ass handed to them by New England. And,
agreed.
I mean, that's just how it goes in the AFC East. Everyone is starting to write off New England at 1-2, and it's like we've been through this song and dance before.
Yep.
New England does what they do best.
Stay rich, man.
Yep. Miami's 3-0 wasn't even like crazy impressive. It was like narrowly escaping death and kind of just out-surviving a few lesser teams. So I'm sure as the season goes, I mean, I think Miami's toast.
All right, AFC North. Ravens Bengals share the division lead at 3-1. Should they be worried?
Respectively, each of them, yes, because the AFC North, I think, is the most up for grabs division. Because every team has clear strengths and very clear weaknesses and just enough meme magic behind them to make anything happen. So I think that division is going to be super fun to watch. Bengals are good again. Ravens defense looks solid. Steelers are bound to boom any minute. Baker Mayfield might be Cleveland's Lord and Savior. Who knows? All of those teams should be worried.
All right. What about AFC South? Jags, Titans, both 3-1.
They should be worried about each other.
That's a good one.
I wouldn't be too worried about the Colts or the Texans. Watson,
yeah, not so far at least.
Yeah. Watson's not looking crazy good following his ACL injury. Only thing Indy has going for them is Andrew Luck, but Jags' offense has been kind of stalling outside of that Patriots game, and Titans are a wild card on their own, so I would just be afraid of one another.
Yep, Mike Vrabel, go Bucks. All right. AFC West, the 4-0 Chiefs, should they be worried? I'm going to say no. Yeah,
Nah.
me neither. Okay, NFC East, the Redskins are 2-1. They're coming off a bye week. They're leading the division at 2-1.
I'll say not too worried for now.
I'd be worried if I were them. I mean, you have the defending Super Bowl champs. I think they're 2-2 after that overtime loss. I think they're just getting healthy now, so there's no reason to think that they wouldn't rise back to the top. So I'm worried if I'm the Redskins right now. The NFC East historically is just a shit show, so I could see that happening again this year.
I think my thing with the Redskins is that right now they have a good opportunity to start pulling away from the Eagles, but they really got to play lights out to keep it up.
Right. I don't think Alex Smith has that in him. All right, your favorite division, the NFC North, with the Bears leading the division at 3-1. I think I know where this is going. Yes, they should be worried. I'd say for all three of the teams behind them, because even the Lions they're talented players around them. They could play spoiler. The Bears are very surprising 3-1, but I think it runs through the Packers and Vikings, especially after last year. So the Vikings are a mess right now, but I think they'll get it together. They have too good of a roster not to. And the Packers, last I checked, still have Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, they do. Yeah, I think Bears should be afraid, but at the same time, Bears have the manpower to keep that division as theirs. Their defense is scary good. It's another division that could go to anybody still.
Yep. All right. NFC South. The Saints are 3-1.
I
That's a
think
tough one.
Yeah, the Saints probably should, because the NFC South, Carolina's not too far behind them. Falcons have had a few narrow heartbreaker losses, so I don't think they're a bad team. Tampa looked good for a whole 2 weeks, and now they're back to normal, it looks like. I would still be afraid of Atlanta and Carolina, because the Saints' defense leaves a lot to be desired, and it's kind of back to the old-fashioned, hope Drew Brees bails us out of this one again. So.
All right. And then the NFC West leading Rams at 4-0, the other undefeated team besides the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's a big nah for me.
Yeah, not worried at all about them. They look pretty impressive so far under Sean McVay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That leads us into who you got and what you feeling. And I wanted to recap my picks from last week. So, last week, I, of course, picked the Ohio State-Penn State game. They were both 4-0. Ohio State, I think, was a 3-point favorite as a visiting team. It was a night game in Happy Valley, a whiteout per usual. I was very nervous, was right to be nervous. It was a huge test, and went with the Buckeyes because of my heart, and the result was let's fucking go. Go Bucks. Okay,
Go
and
Bucks.
the other game I picked was the Browns at Raiders. I like to change up who I pick, not just necessarily primetime matchups with great records. I ended up picking the Browns to get on their first winning streak since Nam, basically. But ended up being incorrect because the refs blew the game and stole it from the Browns. The Raiders won 45-42 in overtime. And also picked the Bucs QB situation. I, along with most people, thought they should stick with Ryan Fitzpatrick. They did end up doing so, but the Fitzmagic ran out quick. Very quickly, because now the Buccaneers have announced that Jameis Winston will be starting after their upcoming bye week. So Fitzpatrick starts end at 4, apparently. He had thrown for 400-plus yards in 3 consecutive games, and last game had quite the Lottie frickin' da to follow it up. He had his team down 38-3 at halftime to the Bears. Was 9 of 18 passing, 126 yards, with an interception and just a 49.8 passer rating. So, bonus Lottie frickin' da, but ended up being kind of right that they started him, but not right long term.
Yeah, I think he did what he needed to do. You go basically 2-1, filling in for your suspended guy. That's what you can hope for from a backup. But Fitzpatrick does what Fitzpatrick always does.
Wanted to keep the same theme for this week, pick an NFL game and a college game. The NFL game I went with is obviously the one that jumps out of the page. It's an offense versus defense game, your classic. The 3-1 Jaguars are visiting Kansas City, and the undefeated Chiefs, who came back on Monday night down 10 in the fourth quarter to the Broncos and ended up winning. Kansas City, last I checked, was 3-point favorites. Who are you going with, man?
I'm taking Chiefs. I'm taking Chiefs because this is kind of the game that the Chiefs are designed to win. What they lack on defense, they super make up for on offense. So what they got to do is score more points than Blake Bortles, which is, not impossible.
Right. I'm going to go with defense here. I think this has the makings of one of those games where the Jaguars randomly show up on offense like they did with the Patriots. And I just have a hunch because it seemed like the Broncos kind of slowed down Mahomes and the Chiefs' offense initially during the game and kind of ran out of steam. I think the Jaguars have more weapons to be able to maintain that. So I'm going to go with the Jags. Could end up being very wrong, and Mahomes just goes off like he has been doing. But, hey, live life on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And the college game, it's kind of slim pickings this week. So I decided to go with the Red River Showdown, Texas versus Oklahoma. Texas, after losing their opener to Maryland, has won 4 straight. And Oklahoma, of course, is 5-0. Can UT pull the upset against Kyler Murray and the Sooners? What do you think?
No. I've got the Sooners. I've got an emotional attachment to OU. But also, Kyler Murray's just fantastic. Texas looking better since the home opener, but I think Oklahoma is too much for them to handle right now.
I agree with you. It does have the rivalry power, but this seems a little imbalanced here, and Oklahoma seems to have just a more talented team.
Yeah.
Okay, we couldn't go without mentioning the upcoming MLB playoffs. So we had 2 tiebreaker game 163s in the NL Central and NL West to decide who won the division crown. At least this year, the tiebreaker games did not result in anyone going home from them. It's just that the losers had to play in the wild card. So the Cubs lost the NL Central division race to the Brewers in game 163, 3-1. So now the Cubs have to go to the wild card game. They host the wild card game against the Rockies, who lost today and lost the NL West crown to the Dodgers 5-2. So now the Rockies and Cubs play in the wild card game, while the AL was already set before that, didn't need any tiebreakers. Anyway, the playoff matchups are such: the Red Sox will play the winner of the AL wild card, while the Astros and Indians play each other. The Brewers play the winner of the NL wild card, which, as we discussed, with the Cubs and Rockies, and the Dodgers will face the Atlanta Braves. So I wanted to get your pick for who is going to make the NLCS, who's making the ALCS.
Yep. Despite the loss, I still think the Cubs have the firepower they need to make it to the NLCS, and I've got them going up against Atlanta, actually, so I'm picking Cubs Braves.
All right. What about your AL?
For the AL, I'm going to kind of go against the beaten path here. I think the Red Sox are, destined to go there. They look nigh unstoppable. But as for who they're facing, I'm going to go with the Oakland A's.
I dig it, out on a limb.
Just because, I don't know, that team has been so up and down, and when they're up, they're so up. And, if they rally together, they can make it. I think they get humiliated by the Red Sox. But, hey, it'll be fun to go there.
All right, so for the NLCS, I have Cubs versus Dodgers, a rematch of last year. Um, don't ask me why, but I'm with you. I'm still with the Cubs despite them losing the division crown. And I'm not going anything too crazy. I think this is going to be the prediction of a lot of people, but in the American League, I'm going Astros versus Red Sox. And if that does happen, I'm rooting for the Stros again because of my family. Go Stros. So hopefully it does for their sake.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move back to one more NFL topic here. I wanted to get, now that 4 games are over for most teams, your pick for the biggest impact player returning from suspension, drug-related suspension, usually is the 4-game variety. So the candidates are, we have Saints running back Mark Ingram coming back, Patriots wide receiver Julian Edelman, Ravens cornerback Jimmy Smith, Cowboys defensive lineman David Irving, the Panthers linebacker Thomas Davis, who, worth noting, has one more week to set out because Carolina had an early bye week. The Bengals linebacker Vontaze Burfict, Chargers defensive tackle Corey Liuget. So those are just some of the big names. Who you got for biggest impact player returning from suspension?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Ravens corner Jimmy Smith.
I like that.
I was watching Ravens Steelers, and their secondary is all right. But Jimmy Smith is kind of a ball hawk corner. He's incredibly quick on the ball. He's fun to watch. And the Ravens are 3-1 with a pretty decent defense as it is, and they're gonna be fighting tooth and nail against Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, possibly Cleveland, and then the rest of the AFC of the Chiefs and the Pats to still worry about come playoff time. So I think Jimmy Smith is gonna really ground that defense, give them an air defense they haven't really had a whole ton of quite yet, and just give them that extra defensive push they need.
I'm going to go for the low-hanging fruit here, Julian Edelman. The Patriots have looked a little out of sorts through 4 games. Obviously, they kind of righted the wrong against the Dolphins, but Edelman kind of gives balance to their offense again. Tom Brady gets his go-to, another white receiver, But maybe it'll start to allow him to spread the wealth and get Josh Gordon in the fold here, so we can really see the Patriots' offense shine here, as if they need more winning.
Well, my fantasy team would sure like more Gordon targets. That's fine by me.
There we go. All right, man. What are you feeling lately?
I'm feeling lately, it's been a really great year for hip-hop, and I could talk about hip-hop a lot, but I've been drawn to these 4 singles that come off of one of my favorite bands' upcoming album. It comes out on Friday. Coheed and Cambria, they've been around since the early 2000s. They still are just as good as ever, if not better. They've got 4 singles out for their upcoming album, The Unheavenly Creatures, which I have pretty much had on loop since each one has come out. So pretty much my game plan for Friday is to just go full, 14-year-old me and sit on my couch and listen to prog rock and play the new Mega Man game.
There we go, man. I dig it. All right, mine's the same but totally different. Lil Wayne's Carter 5 finally came out after a long 5+ years of it kind of being shelved, and it's actually really great. It's fantastic. It's worth a listen. It has one major record you'll hear if you're out and about, but the rest is the lyricists, is the wordplay we're used to from Lil Wayne, and really love the album. The only critique is that it's probably too long, but hey, a lot of the songs are great. It could have been trimmed, but we'll take what we can get after a long drought we had.
Absolutely. That's a great album.
But we like to wrap up every episode, per usual, with my Too Much Sense. I love giving advice. It's usually more than 2 cents worth, so it's my chance to educate the people for advice they didn't think they needed. And this week is about the power of positivity. I believe that we should put good thoughts out into the world, into your own world. I know it's tough. It's way easier to be a pessimist and expect the worst, but make a concerted effort in being optimistic. Negativity is infectious. It brings about more negativity. So don't take that easy way out. Make a decision to be positive for yourself and those around you. And it is amazing how it'll pay off for yourself, especially, and those around you. So that's my too much sense for the week, man.
I dig it. I agree.
All right. Well, that wraps up another edition of Prem Brulee, the number one podcast in your headphones. We appreciate you tuning in, subscribing, sharing, all that good stuff. And please subscribe, share, and listen to all other Holyfield podcasts. And stay tuned for more. Thank you. Thanks, Grant.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun.